Good morning and welcome to MC Webinars. This morning we are going to be speaking about understanding different economies within your local economy. Very thankful to have Will with us today, Will Cookson. He's our Business Development Manager for Economic Development, and he will be hosting our webinar today. So thanks for that, Will. And just to remind everybody, if they have questions as we go through, please put them in the question panel, the question box on your control panel. And we'll try to answer them at the end. If we run out of time, then we will email you with any queries, answers, etc. So without any further ado, over to you, Will.
Thanks, Debbie. Welcome, everyone. So this is episode 2 in season 2 of our economic development webinars. All previous webinars are on our YouTube channel. Just want to thank everyone that attended last time. We had really good attendance, really good feedback on our GVA themed webinar. If you've not seen that, it might well be worth having a look on our YouTube channel for that, or email if you'd like a link. What we're going to do this time, a bit of an experiment, but to keep you all awake or to make sure you are awake, we're going to run a couple of polls which we'd love you to participate in. It should be self-explanatory. They will be introduced. They then should pop up on your screen and you should be able to click. Any questions, any problems, you can let us know via the control panel or raise your hand, which you're able to do, which no one seems to want to do on webinars, which is fine. So today we're going to be looking at how we can dig into the data within your local authority area to really understand the economy and to look at the differences within that from a kind of skills perspective, but also looking at productivity as well. So I'm just going to go through an overview of what we're going to cover. So we're going to, first of all, thank you, Debbie, we're going to ask you a question. So I mentioned that we have polls. Here, I want to ask you, do you have an influential role over local skills provision in your area? And you can select one of the following: yes, no, or partially. This is in progress now, and then it should disappear probably in the next 10 seconds, so be quick. And thank you, Debbie, for the prompt. Right, so now we can look at, there we are. You should all be able to see the results of that. So we've got 25% for yes, we've got 0 for no, and we've got 75% for partially, which is interesting. We're going to talk, as you'd imagine, quite a lot about skills within the local economy, but it's one of the things that we work with our customers about. So if you'd like to find out more about that, do make contact. My contact details will appear at the end of the webinar. So an overview of what we're going to cover. We're going to look at the, well, essentially the rationale for local granular data and the challenges with that as well, that it might highlight those challenges or the challenges it might represent. We're going to have a look at productivity across Hampshire. We always pick different areas, but this time we're picking Hampshire, which I think we also featured on the GVA webinar that we did last time. We're also going to look at clusters across Leicestershire and where there's pockets of activities within those clusters. And we're going to look at skills across Cornwall. So first of all, I'd like to just explain a little bit about the importance of that localized granular data. So obviously there's a national economy, but essentially that's an overlapping collection of local economies. So London is very different from Lancashire, and even when you look at London, there are obviously great hubs of activity in terms of economic activity within the city, and then as you go out, that will vary as you look across London. So to address the needs of a local economy, we need data to identify and quantify it. This is not easy, as there's lots of incomplete or out-of-date data sources. So even just looking at specific jobs in a local economy can be difficult. So the ONS, Office of National Statistics, provide no source to allow this below the government office region level. So we're talking about the Southwest, for example. Except for the census. And the census, the challenge with that is that it's already 7 years. out of date, which begs the question, what can we do? In terms of EMSI's data, within our data sets that we hold, within our tools, and with our consultation work, we have jobs data from 2003 onwards. That's updated annually, so the most recent data set was 2017, which came into our tools at the beginning of 2018, and as we go into early next year, we'll have a full set for 2018. That goes down to a 4-digit level for standard industry classifications and standard occupational classifications. That's a very granular level, but we can do that for every city and district in Great Britain. So each economy can be described in terms of 563 industries and 369 occupations, and then we can look at the number of jobs held by each, by either industry or occupation. As we go into 2019, although work has already started on this, we're looking beyond local authority level, so digging in deeper. And now we're working to offer data below the district level, allowing large local authorities, or any local authority area, to be unpacked into their constituent towns and other areas in terms of industries, in terms of occupations. So how local can you go? Well, here what we have here is we're looking at economic activity concentrates in small areas. So places where we work are often smaller and denser than where we live. So the splashes of green here that you can see on this map of England and Wales host half the jobs in England and Wales, in 1.3% of the total area. So with 600, so where you can see the green, there's 6,800 jobs per square kilometre. And then with the darker grey, black areas, they're far less dense. So the average there would be 90 jobs in each square kilometre. What this shows you is that even when we look at, for example, London, you can see there that there are dark green patches, as you'd imagine, really high concentrations of jobs. And then as you go out from London, you can see those grey areas where it starts to drop down. It shows jobs are packed in small areas. But what we really need to be able to understand is, to be able to understand the economy, we need to understand how they are distributed. Here we're looking at Hampshire, and what we're looking at in Hampshire is we're looking at the GVA per job. So that's the output per job that you can see in that scale there, where you can see, and what we're looking at here is really where is the wealth created within Hampshire. You can see that it's not evenly distributed, even with within a relatively small area. So you can see there that that dark blue area in the middle has very low economic activity in terms of GVA output per job. In the north and northeast of the region, where you can see the lighter green and yellow, there you have Farnborough and Fleet, where there's higher levels of economic activity in terms of GVA output per job. And then the yellow you can see in the south, by Waterlooville, is where Kinetic are based, a large defence R&D company. And the reason we like to show this is we like to show that even within a smaller area, Hampshire, relatively small, you can see that there's great difference there in terms of productivity. We're now going to move slightly across the country. We're going to look at the digital cluster. So this is a cluster of industries that we cluster together based on how they interact with each other, whether they co-locate, share a workforce, or buy and sell from each other. And we're looking at the digital cluster in West Berkshire, Reading and Wokingham. Now the scale that we're looking at here, where there's a grey area, what we're looking at location quotient, I should say. The grey area that you can see there means that it's set at 1, which means that it's exactly in line with the national average. Comparatively, there's no more of the digital industries in that area than you would find on average. So there's no specialism there. But obviously, when you're looking at the other end of the scale, where you've got yellow and you've got green, you've got 12 to 13 times the national average. So a real specialism there. And then the green, the lighter green, you're probably looking at about 10 times the national average. So we know that West Berkshire, Reading and Wokingham, part of that Thames Valley, real concentration of tech industry, huge presence in those areas. But as you can see, once you start to look at even a small part of that Thames Valley area, you can see it's not evenly distributed. We can start to pick out what's driving that presence within those areas. So you've got Vodafone over there on the left, near to where our head offices are, just on the way into Basingstoke. There you can see obviously huge impact that has in regards to Vodafone themselves and their immediate supply chain that may well be based around them. You've got Oracle and Microsoft HQs, Thames Valley Park, which was recently sold for the park itself, not the businesses, was sold for 100 million. I think that was earlier last month. And then you've got Verizon and the one I find difficult to pronounce, but we'll go with Huawei, which are based in Reading International Business Park. What this shows is it shows the concentration of those sectors, whereas an area can become known for having a real presence within digital and tech. Actually, it's not evenly distributed, but people obviously will commute in and travel in to work in these locations. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at the different levels of skills in Cornwall. So what we're using here is we're using MZ's occupation estimates and ONET data. And what we're doing is we're presenting a high level view of the different levels of skills implied across Cornwall. So we've got a scale there on the right. And what we're doing there is we're looking at ONET skills levels. So that's a scale of 1 to 7, level 1 to level 7. The GB average is 2.47. So anything blue on this map is a low skill area, and yellow is high skilled, and green is in between. But as we said, 2.47. So really green is pretty much the national average. Now you can see there right in the middle, you can see a yellow area. That is really driven by the extractives cluster that's based in that area. In the light green areas down towards the south, you can see Falmouth, which is a very job-rich area. What's also interesting, if we then look into this in more detail, we can start to look at local skills specialism. What we've done here is we've made a three-way split between three key skills that are required within any economy. So you've got analytical skills, interpersonal skills, and physical. So analytical skills will be things like mathematics, science, critical thinking, complex problem solving, management of financial resources. Interpersonal skills will be the management of personal resources, active listening, speaking, in terms of social perceptiveness, for example. Physical skills will be more manual, so operation of and control of machinery, monitoring of operation, repairing things, and quality control analysis. So those three kind of types of skills help us to identify where each local area specialises. So generally we find that built-up areas specialise in interpersonal skills. And what you find here, there's no specialism in Cornwall for analytical skills. That means that they have no more of that than you would find on average anywhere else. A real focus on physical skills, which will be partly from the agricultural industries that are based there, and interpersonal skills, which, as you can see, they're based around the more of the town-based economies. Sorry, I've clicked on one too much, but you get an idea there of the way in which that works. Interestingly, what's interesting about that is no areas have a significant national specialism within analytical skills. What you can see, if we go forward, they don't come up to the top, really, analytical skills, because no areas have a significant national specialism, as I've said, but a few are at or slightly better than national average. So this means they're just edging above or very close to the national average. And there you can see Falmouth, Truro, St Austell and Bodmin have average or slightly better for analytical skills. Now, what's interesting about that is it shows you, I think, that there's probably less visitor economy in those areas. Cornwall, renowned for obviously being a destination, tourist destination, but those analytical skills won't fit with that. That will draw much more on interpersonal skills or physical skills. So I'd like to run another poll. It's there. So in developing your strategy to respond to challenges in your local economy, assuming you are involved in that, what would be your primary source of data? We know that you may use multiple sources, but which one are you drawing upon to a greater extent? It helps us with our thinking, it helps us to look at what type of webinars we may well be running in the future as well. So participation in that would be greatly appreciated. I think we now will have, so there we can see official government sources. Obviously at EMSI we use those sources as well, and LEP data as well. That's really interesting. Okay, thank you for participating in that. I know it's been a whistle-stop tour of what we can do and what we can show you below below that local authority level, but we'd like to keep it quite focused. I just wanted to give you an idea of where next with local data and what we're up to. So we've integrated this analysis as part of our consulting offer, and that's where it sits at the moment. We use our consulting activity to drive innovation, and as that develops, what we do is we build that into probably our mothership tool, for want of a better term, our core tool, Analyst. What I would say, as I always do as we come to the end of these webinars, do make contact to explore how we can help you better understand jobs in your local economy, but also we're very interested in knowing what challenges you have in regards to understanding your local area and how we may be able to assist. Don't leave just yet. Just want to point you all in the direction of our website. Within the economic development section of our website, we have a number of free resources and materials. If you haven't seen it already, the individual cluster report for your local area, those are free and well worth a look. You just register for that on the website and then I'll make sure that you receive one. But there are other tools on there as well around developing local economic strategies and so on and so forth. I would also like to say, other than that, as I mentioned at the start, YouTube channel, the EMSI UK YouTube channel it contains some interesting webinars with an economic development focus, so you can look at those. I also just want to make you aware that on December the 6th, EMSI will be attending the IED conference. So if you are going to that, do come across and have a chat with us. We'll have a stand there. And then Duncan Brown, our senior economist, will be speaking as one of the workshops around skills. So and we will be having a webinar just after that. It's the second week in December. More information to follow on that. Thank you all for your time. And as I said before, if you've got any questions or you'd like to find out any more, do make contact via email. I'm not sure why it's not holding my mobile number, but yeah, by all means email me and we can make contact. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Will, and thank you everybody for attending, and hopefully we'll see you at the next webinar. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.